Hey, Molly. She's looking for a lizard. She's still sure the lizard's there. It's long gone, Molly. Welcome to our tour of the back gardens for October 2020. We have some weather coming in, and I'm really happy to say that I have most everything finished and ready for the cold snap that's about to happen. So let's take our normal, regular tour. I'm getting ready to take in the dehydrator that's back in that corner. I just did my last batch of plantain for the year, and I think I have enough. I hope I have enough. Our roses grew real tall this year. They really did beautifully. Once it started to cool off too, they just went really crazy. But they're all at the end of their blooming, and they'll definitely be freezing soon. We're expecting the lows to be in the 20s and highs in the 40s for the next few days. So let's go to this corner over here that's messy. I apologize. It's always messy. That's where Molly keeps her shoe. But I just wanted to show you this incredibly beautiful rose. Isn't that beautiful? I just love this one. You can see all the petals in it. There's just so many of them. They almost look like a camellia, but they're a rose. I put a few more little things here in this corner. And it looks like I have some weeds growing through the bricks there. I gotta get pulled out. The hammock is put away for winter. And I'll probably, if it gets too windy, have to bring down these chimes. The muscadine is turning color for the fall. And this muscadine over here has started to grow upwards. And it has 2 grapes on it. 2 muscadine grapes. And of course, you know, it's too late in the season, but hopefully that means next year we'll have some grapes. That's really cool. The lavender has done really well this year. I took in most of it a couple of days ago, but the bees were really busy and I didn't want to take it all away, so I didn't finish. But today I see that they're gone. They've left. So I'm going to come in a little bit and take off the rest of the lavender. The Jacobean tree grew quite a bit. I took off the limbs there at the bottom to encourage growth at the top because I want it to be a canopy tree, not a ground laying tree. The aspens, I imagine they'll lose their leaves once we hit that cold weather. When we had that, you know, that cold burst of weather that came through a few weeks ago, it just froze the leaves and they browned, so they didn't turn color, which is sad. However, soon to come, I'm going to be taking you on a little tour of the glorious, just glorious trees, the cottonwoods down by the river here, by the Rio Grande. And I've got a little video, and I've got lots of pictures that I'll be sharing with you soon. So you'll get to see those incredibly beautiful, not blue, beautiful, yellow, golden trees. So this year I built this trellis and that trellis back there, and I absolutely love them. This rose grew double in size this year. Still got a few blooms there at the top. The lemon balm I mostly have in. Everything looks a little bit, you know, just worn out from the summer, getting ready to sleep for winter. Over here, let's go down here. My clover is doing quite well. It's coming up through the grass. It's almost filled this particular area right here. I absolutely love that. The peach tree leaves have not changed color, but I imagine it'll drop all its leaves soon. Over here, the fountain, I put in a heater. Let's see how it feels. Fine. Doesn't feel warm. So it's supposed to keep it from freezing. And it looks to me like my fountain might have a kink in its hose, so I'm going to have to work on that. But I'm going to try to keep this running through winter because the birds just love this. And hopefully with the heater in it, we'll be able to do that. And if not, well, I'll lose it because it'll, of course, break. And I'll have to replace it. But it's worth a try. I planted this grass. It's a muley or mully. I'm not sure how you say it. It's Muhly. And you can't really see it right now, but the tops are purpley, a purpley pink. When it gets big, it's also a huge, fantastic grass for droughts. It does not need much water after it's established. Just like everything else, it has to get established, and that takes some work. Once it's firmly in and doing well, Molly, there's no lizard there. She actually does go through kind of a mourning period when the lizards go away in the fall. She's like, where'd they go? Where'd they go? I know they're in there somewhere. They were in there. Don't knock that rock on your head, silly girl. I don't know if she's just being hamming it up because she's on camera or not. She's so funny. Also, I planted a columbine right here because I just love them. They do not like the high heat that we get. So I packed it in against that grass, hoping this summer it will give it enough shade that I'll be able to have a columbine flower. We'll see. Underneath this hay is clover seed, and hopefully, and I already see some clover coming up actually. There's little bits. Let's see. There's a pretty good size one right there. You see it there? But we've got little sprouts. There's little tiny sprouts in there. So that's good. Very good. The hay is alfalfa. That's the key. Not Timothy, but alfalfa. It just does wonders. It's made me so happy this year. All right, so I've got to move the fire pit back in the sand, but Molly made herself a big hole right there. She was pretty sure she found a good spot to sit her butt down. I think that's why she likes the sand. She just develops a nice little hole for herself. All right, so I have the decking cleaned off, cleared up. Everything's hidden away in the barn safely for the winter, we hope. And then the rest is all underneath the porch here. So our weather is strange in New Mexico, particularly in Albuquerque. We will get what's coming. We'll get snow, we'll get sleet, we'll get ice. It'll freeze, a hard freeze, and just, kill off your garden. And in the next day, it'll be up in the 60s again, warm and dry. So it's very finicky. That would be the word, finicky. So that's why I've left certain things out here on the porch so we can still come sit out here and enjoy it when it's warm. Later in the year, like January, February, it does just get too cold, and then I'll bring these things up closer to the house and put away. I'm hoping that I can be, in the warmer days, making these slats closer together. As time, when you do it this way, particularly in this kind of heat that we have, they start to shrink to a certain size. They also will warp if you don't screw them down right away, which I did, so they're not warped. But I want to bring all of them closer together and fill it in. And then I want to do the same over here because this looks really nice. It's got a good deck, rain seal on it. If it shows a little wear, I'll go ahead and do another coat. But for now, I feel like it's in in good shape for our particular winter. If I lived somewhere else where there's a lot of precipitation and humidity, it would not work at all. It would just disintegrate. I pulled out the melon. Melon is gone. There's still some food on the jalapeno bushes back there, so we'll pull those off today. And then the tomato jungle. Oh my goodness. I'll tell you, every year I have a tomato jungle. I am so proud of my tomatoes. They do so well. So the things I do are, we have a really good environment for them. We don't get blight or those kind of diseases because we don't have humidity. That's not to say that we don't get it completely ever, but I haven't. And that's because we have low humidity. Oh, there's still one little bee. The other thing is we have a lot of sun, and they love a lot of sun. So those two things are very beneficial. The other thing is that I have them in a raised bed. So I have the kind of dirt that I like. When I plant them, I put a raw egg in the hole, crack the egg, put the plant on top of that, and then, cover it. Then I put in alfalfa hay. And as you can see, it's really quite broken down. Now, it's like it's fed the plants. Then the other thing I do, which I haven't done this month because we're just at the end of the season, is I cut many of the leaves and branches off that are not producing, especially off the base, so that the branches and leaves are not laying on the ground, giving it the opportunity to rot. So I want it to grow tall, which they do. And of course, this is really overpacked. I put too many plants in. I got overly ambitious. So next year I won't have to put in so many. The black cherries were my husband's favorite this year. So that's good to know. All right, the other thing that I do that I find have been successful is I plant the basil with the tomato, which protects it. And what I have seen personally in my garden is those, they're called horned caterpillars or hornworms that love to eat tomatoes and the plant. And the first year here, because I've had tomatoes other places, but the first year here, I lost almost all of my tomatoes to that little caterpillar guy. They are the same color as the branch, and then they like to hide, like underneath here is where they like to hide. You cannot see them, they're so well camouflaged, and they can decimate your plants in a day. I mean, it's amazing how much they can eat. So, and they come from a moth who likes to lay their eggs where the babies, when are born, have something to eat, and they like tomatoes. But they don't like basil. So this keeps the moth from laying eggs in my tomatoes. Now, it only works if you plant the basil at the same time that you plant the tomatoes, because it's the moth laying the egg that you want to stop. And I believe this is my third year here with tomatoes. Is it 3? I've lost track. But since I've started doing the basil with the tomatoes, I have not had any horned worms eating my tomatoes. Right now, I do have a bird who's eating the cherries, but I mean, there's plenty to share. So, and I'm going to pull, there's some red in here happening. There's a lovely red. And there's another one back there. There we go. And then there's a whole lot of green that I'll decide what I can pull and what I can't. What I can save and what I can't. And just be happy with an amazing harvest this year. This was filled with corn. So we had corn. We had so many tomatoes. We had melon, jalapeno, strawberries, sweet pea, cilantro, plantain, lemon balm. We lost the peaches to that late freeze. Lavender, mint, ground cherries, rosemary, thyme. I'm trying to remember what else that we've harvested, but we have had a good harvest this year. Clover. We also harvest clover. And I have everything in. The tomatoes that I've collected are in the freezer, and then I will process them later because I didn't have time to process them. I got things in late because I had those kidney issues earlier in the year. So I just feel like next year is going to be a good year for growing food. I have these grow bags here that I'm going to be filling and using next year. And then I also have a tower that I'll be using for more food as well. So there you go. We're getting ready for some cold weather coming in. Look at that. It's definitely coming. We've had very little precipitation. In fact, we've had 0 in a little over a month now. We have fires north of us. And right now, right this minute north of us, they're getting some snow. So that's going to help tremendously with the fires. Really grateful for that. And we hope that it continues to try to get the fires under control everywhere else. Thank you so much for hanging out with us in the back gardens this summer. It's been a blast. We've really enjoyed it. Everything has grown so much this year. We've expanded. Let's see, we got the rain barrels also. Oh, the other thing I didn't mention is the gate over there, back there. So I just didn't have time to go get more materials for it. So I just stapled some canvas on the back of it temporarily. Eventually I'll get that finished. You know how it is. Always a project going on. All right, guys, batten down the hatches. If you got a fireplace, you're going to be using it in the area. I know I'll be using mine. And when we get some snow, we'll be out here videotaping that this winter whenever it snows. But other than that, we will be doing garden tours again in the spring. But in the meantime, we'll be in the studio painting. We'll be in the kitchen making cool things. And I'll see you there. Have a great day, guys. Bye.